Assalamu alaikum, family. Peace. Blessings to everybody. I pray all is well. Back once again. I'm going to stop saying back once again because I feel like that's such like a content creator cliche. But we back in the building once again with another episode of Tech Building Podcast. When the devil tries to keep you down, you show up with the strategy. Feeling pretty good today. It's nice and calm outside. I feel like it's going to be another nice talk we're going to have today. We're kind of dealing... I feel like it's different, but then I just feel like it's kind of along the same lines of the previous episode of the anatomy of a conversation. So I guess this kind of taking a little bit of a closer look and getting a little bit more in depth with an element of conversation or interaction verbally between human beings, and that would be this. The title of this episode is "What is a Fact?" This is a topic that I feel like, again, is very important to be honed in on and to kind of talk about some of the things that I think deter us from reality. You know what I mean? If we don't understand properly what a fact is and what truth is and what belief is and these different kinds of things like that, then it really gets us off into a world of, I would say imagination, but it's not to say that imagination is bad or has a negative connotation, but in terms of resolution, in terms of strategy, and I just think in terms of the term that's coming to my mind is nation building or self-improvement. The necessity for understanding what a fact is very, very, very important, and just the kind of different ways that we manipulate language. So I'm going to start this episode off again with another definition as I did in a previous episode. So the word I want to define today is the word fact. So according to Google, which I believe is from the New Oxford American Dictionary, and according to what this reads as a noun, it says a thing that is known or proved to be true. And the synonyms are reality, actuality, certainty, certitude, truth, verity, gospel. The opposite of fact is lie or fiction. So I also want to look up another word that would be proof. Proof definition is evidence or argument establishing or helping to establish a fact or the truth of a statement. That's also the form of a noun. As an adjective, that means able to withstand something damaging or resistant. And so those two, I want to start with that, and then we'll get. I have another definition I want to get to, but we'll start with fact and proof. One of the big things that we say today is something very common in our vernacular. I mean, especially if you like, pretty much if you're any person that's into any kind of pop culture of any kind or any level, you know what I mean? We say facts. Yeah, man, that's facts. That's a fact. And sometimes, well, I'll say this. We can say the word so much to where I even caught myself saying it, where it's like I'm having a conversation with one of my bros and I'm like, yeah, nah, that's facts. But then I think to myself, I'm like, is it actually a fact? You know what I mean? That's why, like, in the nation, we like to get the actual facts. As we come into the nation, you're given actual facts that you must recite in order to get your X. Like, for an example, this is not in the actual facts. This is part of the student enrollment, but these are, in fact, actual facts. The square mileage of the planet Earth is 196,940,000 square miles. And the amount of land on the Earth in mileage is 57,255,000 square miles. The water on the planet Earth is 139,685,000 square miles. So we're given these things to learn and to study, to be able to understand and get used to having actual facts. Again, like the Earth moves at 1,037 and a third miles per hour, which is kind of astonishing to think about it. The Earth is 6 sextillion tons. I believe the universe is 76 quintillion miles, and I believe the universe is constantly expanding. So these things get us in the mind of acceptance and adherence to actual facts. So I want to just kind of poke and dig into how we say, man, that's facts. Oh no, yes sir, that's a fact. And actual facts. So that leads me up to my next point, which is connotation versus definition. So the definition of connotation is an idea or feeling that a word invokes in addition to its literal or primary meaning. I'm going to read that one more time. An idea or feeling that a word invoked in addition to its literal or primary meaning. Keywords in that definition to me is or are feeling and in addition. Feeling is and I was also say idea, that's abstract. It kind of doesn't have like a form. It's subjective. And then say in addition, meaning the true definition or the true meaning of the word is still there, but this connotation is kind of like a small divergence, if you will. The synonyms of the word connotation are overtone, undertone, undercurrent, implication. Okay. So one of my favorite topics to talk about, or something that I think is highly important, especially in reference to dealing with the plight of original people, black people in America, is our language and how the words that we choose to use. As we know, we have a physical diet, you know what I mean? And I know that if I eat Twinkies and Pizza Hut every day, 3 days a week, or 3 times a day, that's going to lead to a very unhealthy body. My physical diet is not strong. It's not quality. It's not good for my body to take in. But we also need to understand that we have a mental or spiritual diet that we need to monitor what we're taking in our mental and spiritual diet. That's another one of those buzzwords, as I mentioned before, where when people hear the word spiritual, we kind of get lost in, it has the connotation where we're getting into a religious conversation. Spiritual, from what I understand, or spirit, a person can have, as I'm talking by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, a person can have a mean spirit, or a person can have a nice spirit. You know what I mean? Spirit is, from what I understand, what I've been taught, is like your attitude, and your attitude is like your predisposition towards a person, place, or thing. You know what I mean? So spirit is not necessarily religious strict or religion exclusive. Spirituality and spirit, in my mind, in the word cloud in my mind, is also kind of synonymous with energy. A person has bad energy, a person has good energy. Same thing, the word spirit can also be plugged into that space as well. So when we're dealing with language, and I will take one more quick note on language, we understand that we live in a universe and we're made up of atoms that are constantly moving or vibrating. And we understand that these vibrations create a frequency. And so this is definitely not my area of expertise, so I won't stay on it too long, but just to lay the base for what I'm trying to say. We understand that these things are always moving and there's a frequency. So obviously now there is high frequency and then there's low frequency. You know what I mean? You have things that, like same thing like with food. You have things that give your body more energy. And then on Thanksgiving, when you're having turkey, mac and cheese, stuffing, and yams and whatnot, you have low energy, or you're saying that food is low frequency. So with that understanding, the language that black people use. So if a person said to me, Brother Anthony, what is something that black people could do or should do that would help change our condition? And I wouldn't start with a large a large issue or a macro issue. I would start with a very micro issue, a very small issue, or something I think is very important. And that is the types of words and language that we use in reference to one another. Now, I don't curse, but I'm going to use these words just to get my point over. When I say the word nigger or bitch, those words have meaning. It's on a deeper level of meaning. There's an etymological or it's called etymology, the study of the origins of words. So when I use the N word or the B word, these words come from somewhere. And we're taught in the nation that the word Negro, so we'll start on the end line of it, nigger, then you go to Negro, and then you go to the origin of the word, which is necro, which is referring to, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one of the brothers could check me on this, I believe this means, or it is of Latin origin. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. So the word necro, I believe, is of Latin origin, meaning I would say something lifeless, something dead. You know what I'm saying? I believe it's also in the same lines of necrophilia, as far as relating to death. And we already know the B word, you know what I mean, means a female dog. I mean, that's free, as we say in the fighting game world. That means, like, it goes without saying. It truly goes without saying. So when we're using this kind of language, now these are the primary two things. Like I'm saying, also other things that we might say to each other might be a problem, but these are the primary two things, because I think it's really dangerous. It's really dangerous that we use this language interchangeably. You could be like, man, I love this N-word. That's my N-word. Yeah, these friends, these group of people right here, these are my N's. But then you could also say, I'm going to go kill this N. Man, F that N. Nah, I don't care about that N. Same thing with the B word. Oh, she's a stupid B, or this is my B. So this language is dangerous because we use it to show love, and then we also use it to show disrespect. I also hear people that are in relationships say, yeah, that's my nigga. That means that's my man. That's my boyfriend. And then that's my B, you know what I'm saying? That's my girlfriend. I think that's just really, really, really weird. I said to my sister the other day, I said, so she has a little 1-year-old son, and I was like, imagine if your 1-year-old son, he's with his group of friends, and he was like, all of them were calling each other idiots. And it was like, nah, yo, you're such an idiot. Oh, no, you're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, you walked up to them, or you know what I'm saying, your son came home, you was like, why are all you and your friends calling each other idiots? And then the child would say, oh, nah, don't worry about that, Mom. That means you're a genius. Now, we would sit back and look at that and be like, okay, we probably let him rock out with it for a little bit. He's a child, but then as he got older, it's like, okay, no, sir. The idiot means this. This is what the word actually means. Which really just ties in the point of frequency and the word connotation. The connotation of nigger and bitch, the connotation of these words have changed to where you can actually, I mean, when I was saying the word, I used to say the N-word every other word. Anybody that really knew me for a long time, bear me witness that, I used to say the N-word all the time. My dad come up to me like, yo, why do you say that word so much? You could really, it really means, yo, I love this person. I got big love for this brother. You know what I'm saying? This is my N-word. These are my N-words. I really don't like to say the word. That's why I'm really saying it so I don't keep saying the same thing, but I really don't like to say it. really in the same way that I don't like to eat pork. Like, I refuse to eat pork. It's really the same thing. So I'm not a person that's coming from, you know what I'm saying, as the minister say, I didn't fall out of heaven where I'm like, I never say these words. I'm saying I spent a long time saying these words. The connotation of the word has changed, but the definition and the etymology of the word does not change. And it's why in the definition of connotation, it says, in addition to the primary meaning, in addition to. So it doesn't change. So the frequency of the N word or the B word doesn't actually change. So the reason why I would use that as an answer to if somebody said, Brother Anthony, what would you tell black people to stop doing right away, or try to get black people to stop doing right away? I would get us to use better language, and especially in reference to one another. Because if I can look at you, I'm going to say it like this. So I can say, yeah, I love this N-word. This is my N-word. I got big love for this N-word. But then, like I said, you could also say, man, F this N-word. I'm going to go kill this N-word. But then when I say, oh yeah, I love my brother. This is my brother. These are my brothers. Then when you say, I'm going to go kill my brother. Now it's different. I'm going to go kill this brother. Now the frequency and the energy is different, because it's like, oh, why would you kill your brother? The word brother has higher value, it has higher frequency. So it changes up the energy of whatever I'm trying to do. If the N-word, if using it indiscriminately, it doesn't have the level of connection. Because that's not what you know what I'm saying, that's the origin of the word. The word was not meant to be put into that type of context or that type of connotation. So if we were able to fix how we speak to each other, that would slowly, in my opinion, my perspective, that would slowly raise up our overall perception and our overall frequency in dealing with one another. As I've heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say, if I'm a nigga and I don't see any value in my life, then I know this N-word ain't about nothing. I could go kill him. But if this is my brother and his children are my nieces and nephews, then it change up the whole spectrum of what I'm talking about. So I think we get wrapped in the connotation of words and lose track of the actual definition and meaning of words. So if you look at a piece of pork under a microscope, you would never put that in your mouth when you see those worms on the surface of that flesh. You would never even think about putting it in your mouth. Let alone, you know what I'm saying, enjoying it. You know what I'm saying? Like, celebrate eating it. You would never do that. You would throw it away. You would get it as far away from you as you could. But when you draw the image back, or you're taking a higher level view, I'm saying as far as like height, and it's a piece of bacon, or it's a pepperoni, it's a gummy bear, you're like, oh great, I popped it in my mouth. I love that. I love bacon. We have to detach ourselves from, I don't want to say detach, we have to be aware of the truth and the fact, and not just what we believe. You know what I mean? So that kind of brings me to my next point. The difference between belief and faith. I can believe that I can jump off of a building and fly away. Or I can believe, I'm a big Dragon Ball fan, I can believe that I'm Goku. I can believe that. I can believe that I can swim underwater with no scuba gear, with no underwater gear, period, and live under the water. I can believe that. That doesn't make it a fact or doesn't make it true. And it certainly would not mean that I should go and try any of those things. If I go to my friends, I'm like, yeah, I'm Goku, and I'm really saying it, they'll probably let me rock for a little bit, but then they'll be like, all right, Tony, all right, hold on, bro. The fact of the matter is, the truth of the matter is X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. separating truth and reality and solely focusing on our belief on a personal micro level, it does not allow us to be able to see life with the proper eyes. I believe it's in the scripture where it says, how do you see men? I see men as trees. You're not seeing things for what they properly are. So you're not able to maneuver in a certain kind of way. You'll walk around your enemy, you know what I'm saying, and think that's cool. You'll marry your enemy and you think that's cool. You'll try to negotiate with your enemy and think, oh yeah, this person, I can negotiate with them. I can reason with them. Because you don't see them properly. You don't see them in reality for what they actually are. You know what I mean? So I'll go ahead. I want to pull one more definition. The definition of belief is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. And also the second definition, it being a noun, reads trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something. So there's obviously room for belief. We obviously need to have certain levels of belief. But when the belief becomes too far outside of reality, then it needs to be checked. So I'll say this, I'll close on this particular point, then I'll move on. Words are a spectrum. I heard a student minister say that, I believe it was Minister Abdullah said, words are pictures of ideas. So if words are pictures of ideas, ideas are abstract. What might be for me might not be for you. What might be for these 3 people might not be for these 10 people. So words to me are a spectrum. 75 degrees may be hot to you. 75 degrees might be cold for me. Something that might be salty for me might not be salty at all for you, might be unseasoned for you. So words are a spectrum. I use this example all the time. A person can say, man, that person was mean. Okay, yeah. But then a person will come to you and be like, yo, listen, that person, that person right over there, that brother right there, that brother is mean. Now we just gave 2 different levels of intensity using the same word. I'll also say this, any of my science brothers, you know what I'm saying, that are my friends, let me know if this is true or not. Temperature is either rising up or falling. It's not really, you know what I'm saying, staying the same. It's at a certain level where it's like, okay, it's stabilized. It might even fluctuate between X amount of degrees, but that would be considered stable. So words are a wide range of things. There's a lower end and there's an extreme end, or I will say that there are 2 extremes. There are 1 on each side. So when we're dealing with belief, or really when we're dealing with any type of word, and so we'll stick to the subject matter. When we're dealing with facts, we have to understand the mean or the average or the primary meaning of the word. And so I have to use this point. We have a responsibility to tell the truth or not, as I said before. When you become a mischief maker with language, meaning you don't want to adhere to the truth, or you want to make it, all right, so yeah, I'll bring this in. I don't like the words my truth. This is my truth. I'm going to live in my truth. To me, that says you have a personal truth that nobody can check you on. So that means you have a personal reality. I don't have personal reality. I live in reality. Now I have a perspective. My perspective could change. My perspective is not a fact. When you say this is my truth, truth is factual. So it's like you can't have two truths. You have one truth. Which one of these things is the truth? So what I'm saying is about being manipulative with language is when you say, "Oh, this is my truth and that's it," or I don't care about what you're saying because that's not what I believe. We're not in the particular subject we're talking about. We're dealing with facts. Facts are not contingent upon belief. And then using language, using the abstract nature of words being pictures of ideas, using that example, you become a mischief maker because you're twisting words. You're twisting meaning. And a group of people that do that we don't appreciate as black people is the police. We don't like when the police use language and twist and manipulate language to murder one of our brothers and sisters and get off with it free. And free in this sense means, you know what I'm saying, you have your freedom to be able to move around and do what you do, not in the fighting game sense. When they say, I feared for my life. Now here's where the manipulation comes into play. You could have actually feared for your life. But what, okay, the person's like, okay, what gave you the fear? Well, black skin is the real answer, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, that the truth of that, your responsibility with that, you could use that. Maybe you did actually fear for your life. But in actuality, you really didn't. But you're using it. That's abusing your power and your manipulation of the truth in order to reach a goal. So if we don't like it as black people that the police do something like this, or really anybody in law enforcement, any white supremacist, I would say, I guess, organization or entity of any kind, they use language to manipulate and to oppress people, mostly black and original people. We don't appreciate that. So the use and the integrity to speak the truth is very important. But we have to know and be willing to accept what is the truth. What is a fact? Bringing it back to the beginning. A fact is something that is proven to be true. I breathe in oxygen. I don't have a choice in that. That is a fact. I live on the earth. That is a fact. When you want to bring in personal truths or you want to bring in personal beliefs and intermingle it with facts, that's when it becomes a problem. Again, as like I'm saying before, like as we're building in conversation. So we don't want to use language to be a mischief maker. We don't want to use language to be deceiving. The reason why this podcast is called Tech Building, because in the fighting game world, when somebody has a certain piece of information or a certain, I don't want to use the word in the definition, but they have a certain technique that they use, a certain style, the strategy that they use to overcome an opponent or to get out of a certain situation, it's called tech. Oh yeah, that brother, he got the tech with Ryu. Oh yeah, I see the new tech. It's coming out. Okay. So, and the best way I can visually express it, it's like a zipper. Building tech to me is like a zipper. It's one layer on top of another and it's secure. Unless you're a real strong person and it's a light zipper and you can go on the other end of it while it's zipped up, you can pull it apart. You know what I'm saying? You had to be a real strong person to do that. Or had to be a really weak zipper to do that. You get a nice, secure, strong zipper, that thing is impossible to break. Because it's tightly secured one layer on top of the other. So when you're building tech, or when you're tech building, it's in that same mindset. I'm going from the ground zero, and I'm building up my level of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding one step at a time. So what is a nigger? Or say, what is a nigger? Okay, what is a nigger? Okay, what is a Negro? Okay, now we're at the word necro. That's the root. So now that I understand that, now it's my choice. Do I want to continue to use a word that means this? Or pretend that it doesn't and use it in this connotation? It's your choice. You want, like in the Matrix, you want to take the red pill or the blue pill. It's some people that legitimately wanted to remain in the Matrix. The dude Cypher knew the Matrix wasn't real, still wanted to be in it. What way? But then that's why I make this episode, because we like to use, like, yeah, that's facts, bro. Not facts. We like to talk about receipts. So which angle are we trying to take, black people? We want to live in the factual world. We want to live in the imagination world, in the I gotta say, in the spooky world. We have to make a choice. No two things can occupy the same space at the same time. You can't serve two masters. So, as I'm getting ready to close out this topic, we have the responsibility to tell the truth or not. And if you choose not, like I said before, the God gave us the freedom of will to do what we want to do. So we want to choose to not tell the truth or be in truth. I mean, we're taught in the restrictive law of Islam that the first law of the universe is motion. The second law of the universe is order. And if you're moving in disorder, then you're starting the process of the cessation of the life of what you have. And I like to use this example. If you're in a car and you're going between stop signs or red lights, and you mash the gas to go to the next stoplight, which is red. You get up to 50 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour, and then you slam on the brakes to come to a stop. And then you go back up to 55, and you slam on the brakes again. The car is going to work. It's going to drive, it's going to work, everything's going to be fine. But you're damaging the lifespan of the brakes of the car, of the life of the car. You're damaging it because you're not moving in the proper order. Well, a person might sit back and say, okay, well, so I don't believe in Elijah Muhammad and the restrictive law of Islam. Okay, cool. What does the word Islam mean? Not the connotation or the imagination of what we think the word means. Let's all sit down at a table and figure out, what does the word Islam mean? Islam means peace. Islam means harmony with your creator, being in harmony with your creator. When you see when you get a phone call on your cell phone and that cell phone rings, that's Islam. When you see the earth as it's revolving on its axis, and you see the sun come up, that's Islam. That's moving in harmony and in order with its original design, because the creator is another one of those buzzwords. Moving in its original design. You could use an iPhone for a door stopper. That's not what it's made for. Not only is that not what it's made for, but you're not even coming close to using the potential of the phone. You're using it at a very, very low level. Kind of unfathomably low when you think about what an iPhone can actually do compared to it being a doorstop. Well, then a person will sit back and be like, well, I don't like being restricted. Why, if I come to Islam, or why do I choose to be or to operate in Islam, I got to be restricted? Gravity is a restriction. If there was no gravity, we'd be floating around. I don't know this for an actual fact, but if there was no gravity, I don't think our molecules would be able to stay in the stabilized position that they are. So I don't even think our bodies will be able to materialize. I could be wrong about that. Also could be wrong about the degrees thing, but again, I could be fact checked. So you're already living in restriction. So why reject it necessarily? You're already in it. So, right. So a person would say, yeah, I don't believe in Elijah Muhammad. I don't believe in religion. I hear people say, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. That says to me, you know that there's a higher power of some kind, but you don't know the right avenue in order to be able to recognize it for an actual fact. So like I live in Delaware. If I wanted to drive to California, I got a brother that I want to go to the Moscow in California. And I want to drive, I want to use my GPS, but I'm not going to put the address in there. The GPS can't work unless you have the address. And if I wanted to just drive around, I'm going to let my spirit guide me to the mosque in California from Delaware, driving. I'm going to let my spirit drive me there. I'm not going to say you're not going to make it, but it's going to take you a hell of a lot longer time to make it than it would if you actually used GPS. You got to be able to know the route of where you're going. R-O-O-T and R-O-U-T-E. Got to understand the route. If you don't have a route, how are you going to reach your destination? So if you're spiritual, where are you going? We're taught that in the Nation of Islam, Islam is not a religion, it's a lifestyle. People sit back and say, I watch this TV show religiously. Or I eat this food religiously. So religion is really about what you practice. So you don't want to practice peace regularly? You want to live in disorder. You want to live in the opposite of peace. Now, but as I'm going down this lane, it's not to say that every single person has to be a Muslim. I'm not saying that. I have to pause and I have to say this, though. Excuse me. According to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'm going to say that, and then I want to draw a parallel. So according to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we are direct descendants of the originator God. And the originator God's nature is righteousness. So every original person is a Muslim by definition. You have the nature of God. You have the nature of righteousness. So even though you don't confess Islam, by nature, by design, you are a Muslim. Okay, cool, boom. Tony, I don't believe in that. Okay, cool, no problem. In the beginning, there was nothing in space. Now, even though we understand, I'm saying some of us understand that, and please forgive you, brother, let me just go a little bit longer time today. We understand that even though there was a so-called nothingness of space, the nothingness of the triple darkness of the space was actually substantive. So there was actually material that existed in space before anything actually existed, if that makes sense. But it was undefined. So then when the first atom of life sparked in the triple darkness of space, became the first defined piece of matter. So when there was nothing, then there became something. That's the reason why I even just said that. So then from nothing came one. I'll go in this lane. Two, the number two, is 2 ones. The number 3 is 3 ones. If I got 1 1, hold up the number 1 in my finger, or I imagine the number 1 in my head, it's 1, singular. If I have 2 ones, it's not just 1 anymore. It has to be something else. So that could be whatever other word you want to put for more than 1 1. more than one, we now condense it down. Now it means two. Dose. You know what I'm saying? It's ni in Japanese. However you want to say it. So as those ones begin to accumulate upon itself, then we have the first person. Okay. We're keeping it. This is non-religious, dogmatic conversation. This is layman conversation that we're having. So when you have the first one, that one produces another one. And then on down the line of the history of existence, you have, you know what I'm saying, you have the billions of people that exist on the planet. But in the beginning was one. That's the point what I'm saying. That person is called God. So what does the word God mean? What are the actual facts on the word God? Because I don't, Brother Anthony, I don't care nothing about the religion what you're talking about. I hate religion. Okay, no problem. Where did you come from? You didn't give birth to yourself. I didn't give birth to myself. How did we get here? Let's rewind the tape. Let's pull on the thread of truth of our layman understanding of what's going on in existence. So we had nothing, which was something, but it was really nothing. And then you have something. You have one. And then the one dispersed into billions of people that, you know what I'm saying, that we have now on the earth. One into two into so forth. So what is the actual facts on the word God? We understand that the word God means a being of power and force. That's why you have like when we in the fighting game world, when we say oh man, this person is God. Daigo, he's a god of Street Fighter. You know what I'm saying? It's like this person has supreme power and force in this arena, in this world. That's what a god means. So in the beginning, there was nothing. Then you have one. The first one was a being of power and force. He had to have power because he came into existence. And then he had to have force because he brought himself into existence. And then he created all the things that are in existence. So he had to have power and he had to have force in the beginning. If a person, for the context of this conversation, so this is not a 2-hour-long talk, if you want to say that this first person was a she, okay. Just for the sake of conversation, I'm not mad. Salute for anybody that stuck around this long. So now we understand what Islam means, and now we understand what God means. Okay? So God and Islam, God is the being of power and force. Islam is moving in accordance with your own, and this is a layman, non-religious or dogmatic definition. This Islam means moving in order of your original design or original nature. So you cannot escape, unless you choose to. You cannot escape the reality of the meaning of these two words. Because again, everybody don't gotta be a Muslim. I'm not mad. Everybody don't gotta be in the Nation of Islam. I'm not mad. I respect you. I got a lot of friends that's not in the Nation of Islam or that are not confessed Muslims. I'm not mad. I respect them and their perspectives. So I just want us to understand what are actual facts. What is a fact? Now, your belief is tied into a fact because you have the choice to disbelieve. You have the choice to say, no, I'm not a human being, I'm a fish. You have that choice. So at the end of the day, you still have to believe the facts are the facts. Or not. It doesn't change the fact. So, for original people, and I'm going to close out on this. For original people, as we're dealing with the difficulty of white supremacy, that's kind of like a macro thing. Then on the micro level, dealing as an individual, if we are not willing to face facts and reality over imagination or our own personal perception, then we are doomed to continuously repeat the same, or to repeat the outcomes of our past, which is continually be an oppressed people group. I want to say this. Every word that I'm saying, every word that you're listening to has a meaning. If you're uncomfortable with the word, or you're uncomfortable with the definitions of words, that's a separate level of understanding. But the truth of the words and the truth of reality remain the same. So, brothers and sisters, family, as I wrap this subject up, the question of what is a fact, we go to the dictionary and find the definition. Whether or not we want to adhere to that, whether or not we want to recognize that, that's completely up to us. In my world, from my perspective, I think it's dumb, I'm going to say that word because this is my perspective. I think it's ignorant to not follow facts. Because that means I live in a material, factual world. If I live in a world that's not factual, I'm not even really in existence. Negro, nigger, nigga. That's what's going on with me when I'm not living in reality. I don't understand the reality. I'm an ignorant person. I'm a Negro. We don't want to be that. You don't want to walk around and be dead. I mean, I know I don't. And on the last closing note, I guess, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. God is a characteristic, or God is an attribute of the Supreme Being. For my Dragon Ball, brothers, we know that there is a supreme, most powerful entity in the universe. God is the name, or is an attribute that goes in the list of all the attributes of the Supreme Being. And to capture all of the attributes of the Supreme Being, that person is called Allah. You want to say God, that's fine. But if you want to encapsulate all the characteristics, all the attributes of the Supreme Being, of the most powerful being, you don't call that person Goku. You call that person Zeno, because he's the most powerful. That's what Allah means, is all the characteristics of the Supreme Being. So, brothers and sisters, man, I appreciate anybody that's lasted this long in this conversation. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. You know what I mean? I'm going to try my best to stay on 2 episodes a week. By the time you hear this, it'll probably be out on, hopefully, Monday or Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? God willing. So, and again, anybody, you want to chat it up, I want to know your opinion. I want to know your thoughts on what I'm talking about. This is really for us to get out, or for us to think about, you know what I'm saying, and ponder over. Really, you know what I'm saying, just the different topics. Like, what is a fact? Am I living in a factual reality? Is my reality based on my imagination and what I feel like? And what type of result is that giving me? That's really just what it's here for. I'm your brother. I'm just sharing my thoughts and opinions. I'm really just trying to broaden our mind to, or not broaden our minds. I'm not doing all that. I'm just here to hone in on the things that I feel like we could be missing. So I thank you guys, man, for all the support. Salute everybody that supports Tech Building Podcast. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, man. I gotta say this, man. I definitely gotta say this. Big salute to my bro Phil Nash. I met this brother some years back at a restaurant called World Cafe, and man, this brother he's the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro really is. He just fantastic when it comes to hip hop. The brother is just absolutely the GOAT. And man, I just want to give a special shout out to my brother, man. I just hope you keep doing your thing. You always got a fan with me, bro. And that's a definite fact. So family, may Allah continue to bless everybody. I greet you with the words that came before you, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum, which means peace. Thank you, family.